So I dropped off my 911 for a service. Well, not really a service, switching the wheels around from the winter tyres to the summer tyres and fixing a couple of little niggly things that are wrong with it, nothing major. The dealership gave me this lovely Macan to drive for a couple of days, which is great because I love the Macan. It is my favourite SUV. And this is an interesting one because this is the base model Macan. Interesting because it's still pretty rare here in the US to see the base model Macan. For the longest time, it wasn't even available as an option here in the US. The Macan S was the lowest Macan. And of course you had then the GTS and the Turbo. The diesel Macan is also not available here in the US. So it's pretty rare to see this 2-litre because it's only recently been released, and I think also because most people would find the money to stretch the extra $5,000 or $6,000 to get the Macan S. But still, this is still a very lovely machine, and I will enjoy driving it for the next couple of days. The other thing that's interesting about the base Macan is it is the lowest priced Porsche you can buy here in the US. Let's have a look at its configuration. So the base price is $48,000, and I'm almost a little embarrassed to say this. For the price of my 911, I could have almost got 3 Macans. One for me, one for you, one for William back there. But no, I'm clearly a selfish bastard because I went and got my 911. Next time I'll think more of you guys. But yeah, the price is $48,000 for the base, and to get the base, you have to have no options. And this car has a sprinkling of options, and even with just a sprinkling of options, what do we got? The larger wheels, the 19-inch wheels, the navigation, and the premium package. The price already comes out at $60,000, which is just the way of Porsche. Add a couple of options, and suddenly the price spirals out of control. But yeah, to get the Macan in the $48,000 bracket, you have to take no options, and you have to get the 18-inch wheels, which I find hilarious. The 18-inch rims make the tyres look so large, it looks like a moon buggy. Don't do that to your poor Macan. Get the 19-inch rims, or the 20 or the 21-inch rims. Yes, that is a ridiculous looking vehicle. And this being a Macan, of course, it's nice and roomy inside, and of course it has a hatch in the back where I can be putting my little stinky dogs. I'm not sure how happy they are about being in the back, but hopefully they'll stay there. Okay, let's take this 2-litre beast for a spin. So in every other way, you wouldn't know this is the base model. This is still a gloriously lovely vehicle to drive. So solid and planted, quiet on the inside, yet handles so well. The 2-litre engine is really the big difference. And it's powerful enough, 250 horsepower. It gets you going, you know, it's just about 6 seconds, 0 to 60 miles per hour. So it's not slow, but it's very un-Porsche-like, is what I'd say. Naturally, it is an Audi engine, and it sounds like a straining A4 in here. It doesn't have any sort of throaty sound to it. At lower speeds, the power is great, but once you get onto the highway here, that's where you feel the engine struggles just a little bit. And it's because you're trying to pull a 4,000 pound vehicle with a 2-litre engine, but it's perfectly fine. Personally, I'd much rather have the next model up, of course, the 3-litre, which has got almost 100 horsepower more. Interestingly, I drove the 2-litre Audi Q5 the other day, which is really the twin to this car in a lot of ways. It is $7,000 less than the Macan, but it is slower, despite having exactly the same engine. I think the reason for that is the Macan is a little lighter, about 150 pounds lighter, but more so the gear ratios are a little bit more aggressive. The Macan also rides a little better, which is surprising because the Audi actually has a more complex suspension setup. It's got multi-link on all 4 wheels, whereas this has double wishbone on the front. But yeah, Porsche just does a great job at getting handling correct in their cars, and that's particularly true of the Macan, which handles like pretty much no other SUV. It's really one of the most impressive things about the Macans is how well they handle. The other major difference between the Macan and the Q5, of course, is how they lay out their interior. The Macan is like a aircraft inside, or the Starship Enterprise, or even Knight Rider. You know, there's so many buttons here, it takes forever to get used to where everything's laid out. And just when you get used to all the buttons here, there's a whole bunch of buttons up here as well. But you do get used to it, And otherwise, you know, I love the look of the cabin in the Macans. The dashboard layout is the small dashboard layout for the smaller cars. This is the same as the Cayenne and the Boxster, where it's just got 3 displays. The right-hand display, of course, being the multifunction display. Interestingly, even though this is a turbocharged car, you can't bring up the turbo boost in the multifunction display like you can in other Porsches with turbos. Arguably, the only other advantage of this 2-litre engine is that it is slightly more fuel efficient, but really just slightly. Only 1 mile per gallon on the highway more. But because the Macan has an enormous 20-gallon fuel tank, that can actually give this car a range of up to 500 miles or 800 kilometers, which is pretty impressive. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in this review. I actually did a detailed review on my mother's Macan a couple years back, so I'll include that as a link at the end of this video. But it's pretty much stayed the same the last couple of years. The only thing I've noticed that's different is it now has a lane change assist on here as standard, and it's a pretty cool little feature. You can see the little green car on here. As soon as you wander out of your lane, it makes a noise. Let's see if I can do it here. There we go. Makes a little whoop whoop noise. Reminds me of a science fiction show, Blake 7. If you're a true nerd like me, you'll know what I'm talking about. So a little bit of science fiction going on in this Macan. So my final thoughts are, you know, the Macan is just a lovely car to drive. It gives you a lot more steering feedback than the Q5, and it's a little faster. The only thing I don't like about the Macan is that the brakes can be a little spongy. Strange for a Porsche. Certainly the Audi I drove had much more responsive brakes, but overall I love the Macan. It's such a great driver's SUV, like no other SUV on the market. And I've often thought about getting one myself. You know, at some stage I've got to trade my my little Golf, and I would so love to have a Macan. It's just whether owning 2 Porsches. It would really make me a Porsche fanboy. People already think I'm a bit of a douchebag with 1 Porsche. Imagine what they're going to think with 2. But yeah, it's very tempting. They are such a sweetheart of a car.